On February 2nd of this year, the defendant entered a no contest plea to domestic violence third offense. Ms. Karen Edwards prepared a pre-sentence report dated March 25, 2026. Court has also received letters that have been provided on behalf of Ms. King, including letters from Raymond King, Ashley.
Buckle up, guys. Today we are going to witness a courtroom moment where everything starts with a formal acknowledgement of a domestic violence third offense plea. The court reviews sentencing reports, letters of support, and asks both sides to confirm objections. Each party agrees there are no disputes with the report or guidelines, setting a tense but controlled foundation before sentencing arguments begin.
Holzwart, Jenna, Genna, Rachi, Rathje, Brooke Arns, and Ashley Adams. Ms. Weisenbach, have you declined the opportunity to review the pre-sentence report?
Yeah.
Are there any additions, deletions, corrections, or objections to the report other than guidelines?
No, thank you.
Any objections supporting the guidelines?
No.
Ms. King,
From this point, the defense steps in explaining the defendant's situation at home. The court is told that her absence has deeply affected her family, especially her children, 2 of whom are nonverbal autistic. Since her incarceration, the household has struggled, and the children are showing emotional distress, confusion, and behavioral changes as they miss their mother's daily presence and structure.
do you agree with all that?
Yes.
Mr. Rakowski, any objections to the report as well as guidelines?
No to either question.
Thank you. Ms. Weisenbach, anything you'd like to say on behalf of your client before the court imposes sentence?
It hasn't been that long since Your Honor has had Ms. King before you. I understand that, so there isn't much to add, except that there's been a development at home. When Ms. King went to jail, it was a bit of a shock. We had looked at a recommendation of 30 days, and Your Honor gave her 6 months. She was prepared to leave her children for 30 days with her husband's care. There was also school for one of her children. She needed work release. The court granted that. Appreciate that. She has been on work release. But here's the rub. Sometimes people don't always know what a mom does until there's no mom to do it. And Mr. King, to his credit, has fully gathered everything that he did not necessarily know about that his wife was doing for their 3 children. 2 of them are nonverbal autistic, and it was a heavy lifting that he's been doing. But unfortunately, despite his best efforts to care for the children, get them to school, he sought out a neighbor for help. He's done what he's needed to do, but the children still miss their mother, and doesn't matter what you tell them, they don't understand why she's not home. And children's minds, when they don't understand, creates anxiety, and they race and they come up with things that are not true, and they get themselves all worked up, especially little ones who already struggle to understand our work.
The defense continues emphasizing the emotional and practical collapse at home. Since her absence, it is explained that the defendant's husband has had to take over full responsibility, realizing how much she handled in daily life. Letters are referenced to support her role as the glue of the family. The argument pushes the idea that her absence has caused significant disruption for the children.
Which is 2 of Ms. King's children. That's why it was important last time we asked the court to adjourn to give her people an opportunity to write letters to explain this woman is the mom, she's the glue, she holds this whole ship together. And when she's not there, things fall apart. No one cares if the dishes get done or if the laundry gets done. Everyone cares about what's been happening to these children. She's not here to ask for anything for herself. She's been going to jail, she's been doing work release, and honestly, she hasn't had to do dishes or laundry. So it's fine for that part. And I'm being sarcastic because it's not fine. But here's the rub. It's because of these children that we are asking you to consider. Her outdate for that prior sentence is June 29th. The recommendation here would add almost another year or so to this time that she has to serve. Would ask this court to allow her an outdate that is consistent with the June 29th. So she can go home to these children. It has been hard on them. I ask you to take special consideration of the letter that her husband wrote. He understands a lot more of what's going on now that she's not there to hold it all together and carry everything. Little details mean a lot, and that's what moms do. They handle all those little details and fill in all the gaps, and makes life easier for everybody, and they don't even realize why life was easy. Ray King gets it now. He's here today because he's invested, understands, and he's asking as well for you to consider, for the sake of their children, an update that is consistent with June 29th. She has something to say also.
All right. Ms., what would you like to say?
First of all, I admit I am not perfect, but I am a great mother.
And most people would divorce over complicated marriages, but just like my husband, he's also not perfect. We both love our kids. Until jail, I've never had more than 13 hours away from my son. And 36 for my daughter. And that's only just my son's birthday.
It's a girl.
That's fine, go ahead.
Okay. I'll start over. First of all, I will admit I'm not perfect, but I am a great mother. Most people divorce over complicated marriages, but just like me, my husband is also not perfect. We both love our kids. Until jail, I've never been more than 13 hours away from my son and 36 hours away from my daughters. This was only due to the birth of my son during COVID. My oldest is 9 and has autism. Like a lot of other folks, I thought maybe it was the shots. Second child, was normal. Then the third child.
The defendant then personally addresses the court. She admits she is not perfect, but strongly defends herself as a committed mother. She explains her limited time away from her children before incarceration, their medical and developmental challenges, and her financial struggles. She highlights how her absence has worsened her children's emotional state and requests house arrest instead of continued incarceration.
Born and is nonverbal autistic. Until this third child, it was hard for her to even think about this process. This may also be a problem in our marriage. I know he loves me and our children, but this social emotional factor makes things a lot more complicated. My husband also has mental health issues. You have to stick to a schedule with children, even more so those who are on the spectrum. I make about $400 a week. I'm paying $160 for work release. It's almost half my income. Since I'm in jail, I also have to pay for all my medical out of pocket. I'm the only one working and still have to have paid for gas, car insurance, etc. But the worst part is for the children. They are the ones suffering emotionally with me not being around. My nonverbal son started becoming difficult at school. Daughters are not wanting to do their schoolwork, and all I'm asking is for some understanding. I'm asking for house arrest, court to be released on June 29th.
Well, Mr. Kowski, anything on behalf of the people? This is a victim's letter.
Ms. Weisbach said
29.
today, Judge, that you do so with the idea of trying to prevent Ms. King from doing this stuff again. She understands, because this isn't like it's the first time. This is domestic violence number 3. So whatever you want to do that way, Your Honor, we would encourage you to do to fashion a fair and just sentence in this case with the rest of the recommendations from the Department of Corrections being adopted.
Thank you. Ms. King's assaultive behavior begins March 7, 2014. Attempted domestic violence, which was eventually dismissed under the Spouse Abuse Act. That was number 1. 2019, domestic violence. But that was dismissed for prejudice. 2021, domestic violence, second offense, reduced to domestic violence first. 20 days in jail. This is in 2021. 2025, where the defendant was on delay of sentence for resisting obstructing a police officer, assaultive behavior. Was granted delay of sentence. Sadly, on February 2nd, 2026, unsuccessful delay of sentence, scheduled to 6 months with 2 days credit. And while on delay of sentence, on December 20, 2025, is this case. And it's a domestic violence third offense. Defendant was clearly on delay at the time. The report indicates the use of an alcohol bottle against the victim. Defendant was intoxicated. Defendant took the children. Police were eventually called, and charges were brought against the defendant. So it begs the question of the court, if you're so concerned about the children now, why weren't you thinking of the children in December? And I don't need an answer. In December, the children have the same medical conditions, mental health concerns, You decide to get intoxicated and use an alcohol bottle on someone with mental health issues. That's the question. And now the defendant comes before the court saying, well, it's my kids and my kids. I'm going to tell you right now, I feel terrible for these children. Terrible, because they're not given an example. What they're given is essentially the tools, sadly, that they will garner and use throughout their early lives to potentially act out or be the victims of domestic assault. Mr. Rutkowski is right. The research is very clear regarding families that have these types of issues. And I appreciate the fact that you're concerned about your children, but you sure as heck were not concerned of them on December 20th. And I don't know what your spouse did.
The prosecution responds firmly stressing the seriousness of a third domestic violence offense and the defendant's history of prior convictions. The court reviews past incidents, including intoxication and assault behavior, questioning her credibility in suddenly invoking concern for her children. The judge highlights guideline sentencing and ultimately delivers the ruling a 24-month sentence with 5 months to serve at the low end of the guidelines. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.
But if he has mental health concerns and mental health issues, why in the world would someone be intoxicated and use an alcohol bottle on someone? It doesn't make any sense to this court. Your guideline range is a minimum 5 months to a maximum of 23 months. This is a straddle cell. The court could send you to prison for this. And I appreciate the fact that you're working. I appreciate the letters that have been provided, but it just begs the question why someone would do this and then all of a sudden claim, well, the children. You should have thought of that before you decided to consume alcohol, before you decided to lash out at the victim for whatever he did. And he may have, frankly, deserved something, but not to the extent of a domestic assault. It could have been, you know what, you're not following through, you're not doing this, I'm taking the kids, I'm going somewhere else, and I'm going to take care of them. It could have been that, but it wasn't that, it was much more than that. And there's a history of this. 2 prior domestic convictions. On top of that, resisting obstructing a police officer, the officer was trying to do his or her job. I understand Ms. Weisenbach's arguments relative to being around the children and providing for the children, but it goes back to my point again. You should have thought of that back on December 20th. It will be the sentence of this court